Yeah, yeah,
I actually don't think that's a bad thing. Being
interesting.
delusional is by far the easiest way to fix your mentality, but I don't think it's healthy in the long run, so I don't recommend it. Um,
Okay, that's funny. Okay.
yeah, Plup and I used to talk about this a lot about how the people with the seemingly best mentalities and performances are either delusional or completely lack awareness. Um, we kind of compared it to being autistic, like literally, in the sense that like there are variables that you're incapable of like noticing awareness wise. And we felt like a lot of top players, when it came to like their mentality, were essentially being like that, and it makes it way easier on them because it's like if you're completely delusional, like nothing affects you, um, which I think is completely unhealthy. But
Yeah, yeah. I know some
it,
people that are, like very clearly like mid-level players, and they're just delusional in that sense. And I am jealous. I have actually told people that I'm jealous of that.
it's by far the easiest way to be. It's like, um, but again, I think healthy. So what I think is healthier
Yeah.
is viewing it for what it is. I on the one hand, this maybe hasn't been good for me in the sense that like I don't really play anyone in melee and ever really feel like they're better than me. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I think if I like played some friendlies and I played really well and someone was beating me, I do not think I'd have a problem being like, damn, like they're better than me.
Hmm.
Like I don't think that would bother me. I think rarely do I play someone in tournament, lose a set, and go, "Yep, he was better than me." Because to me, again, that was just a format. It was just a reflection of whatever outcome happened when we decided that this 2 out of 3 suddenly matters than every other 2 out of 3.
Yeah, yeah, that makes
And
sense.
I rarely end up playing people and feeling that way. Although it's not that I don't think it's possible to. Um, it's just it rarely happens. But if I play people in a friendly session where I feel like I'm playing well, playing for like an hour and they're beating me, yeah, I'll definitely be like, okay, they're better than me.
Hmm.
So I feel pretty comfortable with the fact that I don't have like an ego issue in that sense. And I also feel pretty comfortable with the fact that I think I'm able to view melee more objectively than probably almost anyone. So
Yeah,
that also helps. Say what?
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so that also helps me. So it's like the fact that I trust my objectivity and that I've seen myself in situations accept these things makes it so that this line of logic um, is more useful or valid for me. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
I think I try to be objective. I mean, that's one of the things, like, with meditation and stuff that I've been trying to do. And I think I'm pretty good at that also.
Yeah.
I don't know if what I'm saying is contradicting that, but
No,
anyway, yeah.
I mean it's not black and white. I think you can be decent at it and still struggle with it.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I think
So
okay, yeah.
anyway, that
So
that's
let's go on to the next thing.
yeah. So that's the base of what I think. But then you get to the part where you're like, okay, well, I took care of like what I think. Why do I care what they think? So especially if
Uh-huh.
they're at your skill level. Um,
Right. So did that ever affect you, right? Like you say you never think that when you play tournaments that you never really think that they outplayed you or they're better than you, right, most of the
it's
time.
pretty rare. I mean, it's happened before. It's funny because when I play, here's another thing that helps me. When I compete in other games, I actually never have that problem. Almost every single time I've lost in another game, I felt like they were just better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't mean that problem. I mean where it's like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
play.
I was just thinking about it. Like that is something interesting slash relevant
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
because I was just saying that's further evidence in my mind that I have reason to believe it. But
That you would be
yeah,
objective.
yeah. Because like I've played like when I went to see and entered Street Fighter, I lost, and both people who beat me, I felt like played better than me. And I was like, yeah, well that was easy.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, but yeah. So if they're at your skill level, I think they're better. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with that though is that like I don't really feel like it matters to me because I know that like people are really full of themselves and lie to themselves all the time. So like I have that
Yeah.
pretty internalized. Like it's very, very common, and I'm sure you've seen it a million times for like, people to walk away from sets always thinking, oh, I'm better or whatever, Johnny. And like, I mean, I guess like
Yeah.
I'm not an exception if I often think I'm better. But then like when I internalize that fact, it's like it doesn't really bother me what people think because I'm like, well, yeah, like people think wrong things all the time. It's another one of those wrong things.
That's true.
Yeah, it's like, how can I let that bother me? If I let it's like the someone's wrong on the internet type of thing. If you
Yeah,
let
it really
someone
is. I mean,
say
it's,
what?
it really is, but it's
It's
annoying.
similar, right? The only difference is that you're attaching it to your ego. But I think if you can remove it from that and then view it strictly as they're allowed to be wrong, like, I mean, then it's
Mhm.
fine. I mean, it's not your place to worry about every single person that's wrong. And this is no different really because it has no meaningful effect on you.
Okay, just understand that they are
Yeah, it's like it's
wrong
okay.
about a
And
bunch of stuff. So this is just one more thing they're wrong about.
yeah, yeah, it's like, and I mean, if if they think they're better than you, like, what does that really, what does that matter, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any ideas on like why it matters?
I mean, I don't. Is it not as simple as it's like my ego and like
I
I
guess I
don't.
don't know what that means because like if you're truly like I guess if you're truly confident, then like how someone else feels about themselves or you won't affect how you feel.
I mean, I guess I might not be truly confident then.
Yeah, so maybe that's something you want to think about, like as opposed to just saying it's an ego thing. Think about, well, maybe I need to build more confidence in myself or my results or my decision making or whatever. And I think that's hard if you don't have something worth being confident in, and that's how people end up being delusional often. But I think that the luckily, the more you improve your basis for decision making, the easier it is to be confident because you're doing the right things like on an objective level.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think you want to think about confidence building, and then like if you feel like you can't really be confident in the way you're playing and the thing that you're doing, then maybe you shouldn't have an ego and worry because like you already know you can't be confident about it. So why are you worried about what anyone thinks? You still have like plenty to work on.
That's true. I mean, and I do.
So it's like there's that perspective
So
too,
just
where it's like
play well, basically, is like the main.
yeah, if you play well, and then you can be confident. And if you don't play well, then it's reasonable not to be confident. And it's reasonable not to worry about what anyone thinks because like you have too much to do on your own. It's like
I mean,
if
there's
you don't have the time to worry about someone else, that means you should have
yes,
been the energy yourself, right?
yeah, exactly. That's what I've kind of been doing or thinking about.
So
But
do
there's,
you kind
I
of
mean,
see that dichotomy of like if you're confident, it doesn't matter, and if you're not confident, then it doesn't matter.
so if you're confident, then it doesn't matter because you're yeah. But
Yeah, already. Like there's not an issue.
if you're not confident, it doesn't matter because you should be working on it at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And
Um,
like you
so there's
should be.
also
What's up?
this is also kind of related to a similar issue of like not playing well. I know I'm not playing well, and then I know I have much more potential than what I'm showing in this match. Yet they still they still end up beating me, and they still are like whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, if that's the case, then
Just
why worry again? And this
just
goes
start to
back
play
to
well, right?
say
Just play
what?
well next time. Just play well next time, or work on
Play
the thing.
well, and like, why does it matter? Or this goes back to the it's okay if they're wrong. Like, why does it matter? Because
Yeah,
if you didn't play well, then like they can think what they want.
that's true.
If they want to think they're better than you because they beat you at your 4 out of 10, then I mean, like, good for them. Like,
Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean,
um,
I care about what people think. I think, which is
yeah. I mean, I somehow I've had the fortune of not caring about what anyone has thought most of my life, so
yeah,
I've never had that specific problem. But I also think um, this is not related to my line of solutions at all, but something Laudandus suggested, or I've heard him suggest that I think is pretty good, is he said there's no benefit to ever thinking that you're playing bad. You should just always assume that you're playing well in tournament and work from there.
hmm.
And that is something I've heard him say that I think is like, I don't really see anything wrong with it. It's not really for me because, again, I kind of have my worldview based on like trying to be as objective as possible at every single possible moment. Um,
Yeah,
so I don't really feel like I ever like having any basis for not being totally honest with myself, even if it's strictly good. But just to talk about it conceptually, and maybe you can take some ideas from it, even if you don't use it. If you think you're playing well, then that artificially makes you feel like you're playing well, and then you might continue to play well. And then if you feel like you're playing well when you're not, then it prevents you from making any sort of excuse. And you're like, damn, I really played well and lost. And then you can't make any excuses for yourself. And then you can more easily improve it because you're like, okay, that was me playing well. Like, how do I improve from there?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I can definitely take ideas from that, and I think it could help from a mentality standpoint. I don't think. I mean, this could be just me being delusional, but I don't think I'm one of the people that says I'm playing bad regardless of how well I'm playing or not. And
Hmm.
maybe you can comment better than I can because you've watched me objectively. But
No, I think you've told me you play pretty well often. But
okay,
I think the only thing I'm not really aware of is like how often you believe that you do play bad because when we were talking about it, I was like, oh, well, I don't really see you play like this often. And you're like, well, we don't really watch sets like this a lot. And I was
that's
like, oh,
true.
that's a good point. So, like,
Yeah.
I don't really have perspective for like how common it is. But yeah, I definitely think you distinguish between your good and bad play.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a lot of times pretty obvious, but I guess some
Yeah.
people are delusional, so I'll try to make sure I don't fall into that trap as well. And I think Latandis's quote is good either way, especially
Yeah,
if you
and
always
it's
think
very useful regardless
yeah.
um, of how you decide to like permanently alter your worldview or perspective. I think that's a good thing to remember. Um, and I think there's also something to be said about the fact that like if you played bad but tried your best, then in some sense you still played your best. If that makes sense. Like there's a perspective you can use for like any situation where it's like that situation kind of is what it is. And what I mean by that is like just because your best didn't come out doesn't mean you weren't trying your best to do it, right?
Hmm.
And you could easily try your best to play well and then play awfully, or you could try your best to play your best and play a 5 out of 10. And I think people sometimes forget like intention when it comes to a lot of things as opposed to the impact of it. And essentially, what I'm saying by that is that it's more easy to be accepting that you played badly if it's not just like, oh, I played bad or I played good, but it's like, well, it's not like I wasn't trying. And if you're just like always trying your best and you internalize that, then like playing bad is still technically playing your best. It was just the best you could do under those circumstances for whatever reason.
Right, that makes sense. So, I mean, I think that's related to kind of what we talked about last time. Like, I should just really make sure I'm trying to play my best in these tournament sets,
Yes,
and then
exactly.
I can think about this Ladantis quote, and it's like, okay, well, I was playing my best. What came out?
Yeah, maybe you don't have to say I'm always playing well, which is more what he's saying, but you can at
Yeah,
least internalize that you are always playing your best. And then that's helpful because of the reasons I explained last time. And hopefully you kind of see like it kind of makes a big circle and like all these ideas are pretty connected, I think.
yeah, this makes sense. So yeah, this was my best on this day, and I happened to lose to this. What happened? Okay, well,
Yeah.
I was just like jumping around. Well, maybe next time, etc.
And I think
Um,
one benefit of this is that it allows you to also be nice to yourself, which is underrated. Um, because even with everything I said, you kind of have a couple routes. One, you can again be more like lying to yourself or less honest, and then it won't be good for obvious reasons. I think it's mostly just unhealthy. But then two, you could do everything I'm saying. But if you're truly brutally honest with yourself, that leads to potential to being like really mean to yourself, which isn't valuable, loses
mhm.
confidence, which is also a problem. It's harder. But if you can always say that you played your best and tried, and that if it doesn't come out that day, you're like, well, like I understand the circumstances in an objective way. I wasn't feeling well, or this was happening, or that was happening, and it lets you like not beat yourself up about it.
Okay.
Or if you say, I was playing my best or I tried my best, but I wasn't able to play my best because, I have a problem with my mentality versus Millhouse or whatever, and you can accept that, then that's also helpful because it's one step towards fixing the problem.
Right.
It's like a way of working towards fixing the problem that doesn't like put yourself down. So you recognize that you have a problem without viewing it as an inherently bad thing.
Okay, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Recognize you have a problem without viewing it as a bad thing.
So I think accepting that like you're trying your best and actually do try your best is like a very helpful part of it.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I have a like a regionalish thing this weekend. I
Yeah,
think my goal going in is just going to be to try to play my best. Like
that's a great
that
goal.
seems like fine. Okay, like that's
And
what I want to tell myself before every set. Just try to play your best. Like you know what to do versus like Falco. It's just try to play your best.
Yeah, regardless. And I think um what was I about to say? My brain. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I can't remember. It's okay. Um so what was the other point you made that
I mean, the other point I think is pretty related. It's like if people like make a big deal out of it, and I think that's just because they think. I think that makes that's them thinking that they're like better or like
yeah,
So I don't know if we need to talk about that much more because
I think it's pretty related as you
yeah.
said. Oh, I remembered now. I think another aspect of this that's very important is that like once you go try to play your best, you know, a number of outcomes and feelings will occur and you have to like learn how to deal with those. And for me at least, one thing that helped me, with all of the things we're talking about and many more things, is that I realized that one fundamental problem with all of this is that a lot of this was only going to be effective for me if I was able to have fun in tournament.
Hmm.
And what that meant was I had to have fun even when things weren't going well or I wasn't playing my best and I was aware of it, etc. And that was kind of hard at first. But like if I wasn't able to have fun during it, then all that happens when I try to play my best is that, it is painful because you do play your best. It sucks to suck, and then you're like, well, fuck, I played awful, and it doesn't feel good, and you get really, upset or whatever. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
in the process of learning to like handle your ego and like not get annoyed at yourself, or even if it's not ego, if it's just like not being upset with yourself for playing shitty, even though you tried your best, it's like, man, my best wasn't good enough, and all that stuff. And like then you have that problem of I did try my best and it wasn't good enough, and like now what? But then for me personally, a lot of that was solved or cushioned by learning to have more fun with the situation instead of viewing them as a reflection of something direct. It's like, okay, like I'm going to have to learn to have fun with these things that maybe I don't like that much, and I had to think about perspective for that. And
okay,
as I became more and more successful at having tournaments, I realized that there was a pretty direct correlation between the sets I won and lost based on how much fun I had. And almost every set I lost, at some point in the set, I stopped having fun before I lost, and that often led to me like not being able to play as well.
interesting. Okay, I don't know if I have fun in these tournament sets
Yeah, you
during
should think about it. Like, do you have fun playing a tournament?
um um I don't know. I don't think a lot of times, not in the early rounds, like when it's just like, okay, I might lose to this person and he'll upset me, or I'll like win him.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can't have fun during that, then like, how are you gonna play, right?
Right, I guess. Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah. And maybe for everyone, fun is not the answer. Again, I think for lots of people, they have solutions, and it goes from anything from lying to yourself to just being like, what's the word, like cold-blooded killer type of mentality, and all these things. And like, yeah, that's good and well, and for some people that works. But again, I often don't think these things are as healthy as just being honest with yourself, trying to play your best, and trying to have fun with it. Because like, if you can do that successfully, I feel like it's kind of the more zen thing. Like you're able to be honest and aware, but also enjoy it. And I think that's
Yeah.
very important.
I guess so for this tournament, I don't want to like overthink too many
Oh
things. So
yeah, definitely not.
I think my goal will still just be to play my best, but I also will think about if I'm having fun in these sets, which
Yeah,
I
it's good to be aware of it.
my guess is it's not in some of the earlier sets, but we'll see. I'll make sure I think about it, but I'm not gonna like try too hard to have fun. If that
Yeah,
makes
yeah. That's fair.
yeah.
I think one thing at a time for sure.
Yeah, I think just trying to play my best. It's not even something I like normally think, so I think that could help.
Yeah, I think it'll be good to just have in mind and consider because
Yeah,
as time goes on, you might start noticing like, oh, I really wasn't having fun.
yeah, exactly. I want to think about if I am having fun, but I don't want to like force like try to
Yeah,
make
try to
myself
fix
have
it.
fun with it. So like reflect on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I think that's a good goal to try to play your best. And I think you should practice it in friendlies. Practice thinking, okay, I am going to play my best, and I'm going to give it my all. And even just the fact that you're consciously trying to force yourself to give your best or whatever, give your best effort. And then if you play poorly in that friendly, that's a great chance to think about that.
It's true.
as opposed to just autopiloting friendlies and then playing well for the majority of them without any pressure. It's like it naturally puts a little bit of pressure to like
Yeah,
make the statement in your own mind that this will be a game I play well in
that's true. That's a
or
good
play
point.
my best in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
And I think that'll teach you to be more honest with yourself and also give you things to think about because
I think
it
a lot
lets
of
you
times,
practice like, oh, well, I played bad even though I said I was going to play well.
and I think a lot of times when that happens, and we've talked about this a little bit, but if I do think about that in friendlies, I'll like a lot of times it'll snowball and I'll forget about it if I lose the first stock, right? Like it's like, and then I just try to force it and get it all back in one, like in one hit, and then it like snowballs.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess keeping that thought, and then this is like the Uber Streffenset where we've talked about that too.
Hmm.
It's like you just know you're playing your best, so even though you're down 4 stocks to 2 or whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, it like doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think especially consciously trying to like give it all in the friendlies and then like losing the first stock and being like, all right, that's fine. I'm still just playing my
Yeah,
best.
like I'm still playing that was me losing my stock playing my best. I'm
Exactly.
going to keep playing
Exactly.
my
That's
best.
something I am definitely not good at thinking.
Yeah. I think
But
it's
like
very, very important to practice it in friendlies.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Um, okay, this seems helpful. I'll
cool.
think about all this stuff.
I'm
And I
glad.
like how it's like, just a few things to think about that I can like easily remind myself before a set and not like a whole list. I mean, there was also a whole list I wrote down, but like it's also
Yeah, yeah. And you can think I think you should think about all of them and then like obviously distill it into the most important things, but
exactly,
like
yeah, yeah. So
I don't think you can do the most important things without reading everything else and internalizing it because if you're going to be honest and healthy with your mentality approach, I think you need to internalize the logic that supports all these things you're trying to do.
okay.
Does that make sense? It's like you can't just go say, "Okay, I'm going to play my best," and then like not
I
understand
have to
why.
know what it means, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Um,
Okay, this seems
cool.
helpful. I'll think.
So did you manage to watch the videos I linked to you?
Yes. So now let's talk about Cheek. Um, I watched all of the videos,
Okay. Did you
both
see
Nicoboy
why I linked
sets
them once you watched them or
and
not
the
really?
Gooms set. Yeah, especially the Gooms lesson was like basically, if
The
our
Gooms
lesson,
wasn't related to the other videos I sent you too,
yeah, the
so
Nicoboy videos. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if those are the ones you were talking about,
Yep,
but I feel
yep.
like if our lesson was like 30 minutes longer last week, it would have ended up a lot like the second half of Gooms lesson where we just watched those Nicoboy videos and talked
Yep,
about.
exactly. Which is why I
But
sent you.
yeah, I did watch the Nicoboy videos before I watched the Gooms lesson. So
So that probably gave you a little bit of perspective going
yeah,
in.
let me see what I wrote down before I watched the lesson. So it's like, yeah, your game plan seemed better. So it's like you did some bad full house stuff, like, but that only happened every now and then, and you were able to recover after and recognize the situation and generally play the ground game. Is what I wrote down.
Yeah.
Um, and then so your scrambles were really, really. I think scrambles, and also in the KK set. Um, so you were just shielding, and it was just beating everything in scrambles, and you were moving out of shield,
Yeah, and I
and
knew
then
like, shield grab or, wait for
right.
spot dodge or whatever.
And then but by the end he started grabbing you, but then you just preempted and like you actually just grabbed him before he got you. I don't know if you remember that. It was really sick.
Yeah, I do remember that like he adapted. Like he was definitely a player who's like it's not like he's not playing optimally, but he's definitely aware of like the mix ups and like he's not gonna just do the same thing.
Yeah. And then I did
Definitely makes it
correcting.
hard.
Yeah, you so but yeah, that's the idea. So basically for me, I think if I noticed that they were like if I was shielding and it was working and they started grabbing my shield, like my response would probably be to like move away from their grab, which is not bad obviously. But like if I was, aware of the situation and playing well, I would like move away from their grab and maybe try to punish their grab, but you would actually preempt them and hit them before the grab came out or like dash attack or what. Which is really good and I don't think I would ever do that. And
That's
that was
interesting.
also you did that versus Kurikaze too. Like he also was grabbing your shield. He actually kind of started grabbing your shield, but you just like did a short hop drill out of shield before he got there, and then that like beats also the dash attack if he's like trying to do a dash attack mix
Yep, yep, yep.
up. Which I thought was really good, and that's just something I wouldn't do. And then also the other things I noticed that your edge guarding was really good, and you threw off stage. And your punish game was really good, obviously. And then, so jumping, it seems, this is versus Nika Boy that I wrote this down. You only really jump in response to his jump most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I know like my random full hops that I do when I'm like not really thinking aren't great, but it's just noting that when you are doing full hops, because people say Fox full hop is good, and it is good, but it's just like you can't just like spam it.
Yeah.
But it seems like you jump in response to jump, which is
I do think
um
I full hop an okay amount in the Sheik matchup. like in the more modern matches compared to the older matches.
Yeah.
But I do think I do it well, so it's fine.
Yeah, I didn't notice it too much versus Kirby Kaze, to be
That's
honest.
interesting. I usually do like full jump and then kind of drift back or in place at the
Yeah,
station
yeah.
where like I want to beat his
So
ground game.
if you are full hopping, it's never full hopping forward to hit him.
Oh no, definitely not. The only
Yeah,
time I full hop forward is to at the spacing where I go over his F tilt and I can back air him.
yeah, yeah. Um,
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the only full hop forward.
Um, so the other thing in the Kirby Kaze set, so this was actually I played Zamu's Sheik a few games. He didn't really play Sheik much because I didn't lose a single game versus Sheik. But a tournament is different. But the three things I was focusing on versus Sheik was um, watching him, like looking at his character, not jumping randomly, staying grounded. Like when in doubt, stay grounded instead of when in doubt, jump, which is what I was doing before. And then in scramble situations. And I think the first two, the watching him and not jumping, I was pretty good at when I was like really focusing on. The scramble stuff still I think needs some work. I was still like losing in scrambles enough. But so I practiced that also versus CPU. So I just played also a 20x CPU and also just basically focused on those things. But also the thing is, if you're just crouching in front of a 20x CPU, he'll hit you. So I like practice shield grab. Like I messaged you a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like practice not shield grab, crouch cancel grab, but also shield grab.
Yes, crash cancel grab.
But yeah, so I think just scramble situations are probably the thing that is, I need more work on. But
Makes
that's
sense.
fine. I also did so I'd watched your videos and I talked about that you do this like run forward, wave dash back, shine, or like shine bear
Yeah.
a lot. So I did the first time I've ever done that without explicitly thinking I'm gonna do that. I did it versus Amos Sheik, which I was pretty happy about. So and it seems and I noticed this when you play Kirby Kaze too, is just like when he's jumping and you're like running forward is like that's kind of a cue when you'll do that, if that makes sense. Like if you were running forward at the same time he's jumping and now you like switch positions, then you'll do like a wave
Oh
dash.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured out also. I actually think in that like, am I running through him essentially?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured out actually that instead of just wave dash back shine, I actually think that um doing wave dash in place after the dash through is also really good.
And then like
Um
up tilt or something, or are you already?
no, wait, did you say up tilt?
Yeah. It
It's
depends.
actually what you do is you do it in a situation where their percent's a little bit higher, where you can kind of afford to fight them. And you can actually do like wave dash in place and then go for like nair or similar things.
Oh, I see.
Um, so there's a lot of situations where you can run through someone and wave dash back shine and it works. There's actually a lot of situations where like it kind of barely doesn't work because of how your momentum works out, where you're running one way and wave dashing the other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I found that if you wave dash in place a little earlier, sometimes it allows you to chase them down better because, or like I'll realize that either people will get their shield up before I shine, or people will
Yeah.
dash away, or any number of things. And sometimes wave dashing in place and then dashing towards them lets me chase them better.
Interesting. Okay. Is this
I
specifically for?
forget which matchups I found this in. I think Sheik Wave Dash Shine is still good, but there were certain matchups where the spacings that I would get it at never quite lent themselves to Wave Dash Shine actually hitting. So just like as you go for it more, try to be aware of like, well, did it actually work? Like what happened, and then see if it's still the best thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, one of the reasons I think, I thought it was really good is because if they do get their shield up, it's fine. You get like pressure on their
Yeah,
shield
of course, of
areas and
course.
stuff. But of course, if you get a free hit or a better way to chase them down, that's obvious.
Yeah,
Um,
there are situations where you can just get a strictly better version of it, but
mhm.
it's like spacing and matchup dependent because what spacings it happens at matter depends on the matchup. But I don't remember right now because it's been like 2 years since I was thinking about it. But I
Yeah.
do remember testing specifically. Oh, is dash through wave dash back shine better, or is I also tried dash through wave dash towards, and then getting to so the location that I would get to before I wave dash back, I essentially tried to wave dash to that spot and then dash back instead.
Oh, I see. Oh,
But
that's
then
cool.
I think that was the one where I found that the momentum was wonky because I was going in
Yeah.
opposite directions. But then that's why I was like, oh, what about wave dash in place? It's a little bit slower to run there and then wave dash in place, but the momentum is much cleaner.
I see.
So just something to think about.
Yeah,
At some
yeah, I'll think
point
about
in the
that.
future
Yeah, yeah, it's more of a because I want to at least start thinking about spots like to
to
do
do
the
the
wave
wave
dash
dash
back
shine.
shine without thinking about it explicitly, like doing it more naturally, which I did for the first time in my life.
Yeah, which is sick.
Um, yeah, so I was happy about that.
So that's why I'm saying, like, as you do it more and more, just start trying to be aware of like when it was effective and when it was like try to notice the times where it was effect or where the idea was correct, but it didn't seem as effective as like you had hoped.
Yeah, yeah,
As like I'm not saying like look for where you made the wrong read, but like when you
I
does
understand.
that make sense?
Yeah, so like if they get their shield out, and especially if
Yeah,
it's
or like any number of things where you're like, man, like they got away even though I felt like I had it.
yeah, like got a spot dodge out or something, or
Yeah.
roll or something. So like I didn't even get pressure. Um, yeah, okay. But anyway, so that I played Zame with Sheik before I watched your set versus Kirby and I did it in that spot where he was like jumping and I ran through him,
Mm-hmm.
and then did a wave dash back shine, and then I noticed you did that versus KK too.
No.
So, which I mean, yeah, isn't surprising, but I think it was a testament that I was actually looking at him. I think is the main
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So that was good. Yeah, like I said, looking at him and then like playing ground game were like pretty easy to do when I was just thinking about it. Scrambles are a little bit more complicated, but I think I'll work on that.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I have written down here in your set versus Kirby Kaze. Well, let's actually, I don't think I went through any of these. So you're playing really clean. Okay, no, wait, that's what you wrote. Oh, I wrote this on my phone. Um, yeah, okay. So you were super fast out of shield. Like anytime he nared your shield or just nared and you were shielding, like it didn't even have to hit your shield, but you would always like wave dash and hit it. Um, also, yeah, it's crouch canceling, etc. Just really clean. And then responding to jump really well, which is the wave dash back into Sheik. And then so I mentioned the preempting stuff like you did versus Nika Boy, but you also preempted aerials a couple times versus Kirby Kaze too. So I
Like just
think
hit him out of his jump.
yeah, so he was like jumping for you, you just up smashed him. So I mean, I think the idea of like preempting them is probably the biggest matchup thing that I don't do right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, yeah, because like if I was locked in and playing like my version of playing well, I would just like try to whiff punish and get pressure on those situations. Like if I think he's going to do that,
Yeah.
so and especially the shielding one because it's just like I saw him and I was like, wow, I wouldn't even think of. But it all makes sense.
I'm glad.
Um,
Go ahead.
okay, so that's it for yeah. I guess that's everything else on Sheik. I don't have anything recorded, anything new recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we can watch some Sheik stuff, or we can watch like my set versus Polish from
Sure.
um, which is yeah. So that's the last thing. So yeah, let's do that. I think it was a decent set. I do think I kind of jumped at him a few times, pretty not smartly, which I think is kind of a nervous like just like jumping at people seems to be like a nervous habit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, though in general, I do think I'm more comfortable versus way more comfortable versus Peach than like any other matchup besides Fox.
Good.
Um,
Um, do you feel like when you watched the Nika Boy sets, you saw what I was saying about like
yeah,
how the mentality was probably similar?
yeah. I mean,
Like you could
I
see
definitely.
like what I was struggling with, I guess,
It,
versus Sheik and how it would affect my play.
yeah, but I also like. I think the biggest thing was seeing you like reset after those. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and then remember that's what I was saying. Like I was hoping you'd see that, and then you could see like the change and see like how it was implemented and stuff.
yeah, that's why. Like I said, I was glad I watched it before I watched the Gooms lesson because the Gooms lesson kind of like is like the answer key. I feel like to all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So like,
yes.
I don't think we need to talk about it that much because like I said, it's what we did.
Yeah,
But
you already watched it. Yeah, of course. And I remember explaining it all, but I was just wondering if like that was clear to you before
yeah,
you.
I definitely did see some of it when I watched the set.
That's good.
Because yeah, especially it seemed like it was clear when you were like resetting. It's like, wait, no, I know what to do here and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and it had this a similar vibe to your set. I felt.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, cool. That's good.
Okay,
Yeah, he's not.
I just opened it.
Okay. Well,
It's playing, but it's like a minute in already.
uh oh, got hit by a turnip.
That
You
wasn't
never
great.
want to do that.
Start. See that jab. So I mean, obviously the start was bad, but the jab and the scramble that should have been like a grab, right?
Yep,
Or
you
like
should have grabbed it, and then also you shouldn't have jabbed him.
yeah, it should be. So I mean, I can see everything I did there, but then that jab should be like a shine or a grab, right?
Yep, and
I meant a
the
grab
one
by
on your
me, not a
shield
grab
should
by
be
him.
too, right?
What'd you say?
He also did one on your shield afterwards.
Oh,
So,
so that should have been a grab,
yep, ideally, if you were ready.
and my jab should have been a grab for him too, right?
Yep, if you're both ready, it's pretty guaranteed, I think.
I don't know why I'm up tilting there. Not
Yeah,
this second
definitely
one. That
bad
should
up
be
tilt.
a clear shine.
Yeah, I agree.
Obviously gonna hit.
I
That
feel
should have
like that
probably been
nair
a
was
grab,
bad,
right? Yeah.
right? Because you clearly baited the dash attack, but then you
Yeah,
could have.
exactly. It should be a grabber or something, or maybe a drill. Probably a drill actually is the best.
Drill is good if you don't think they'll STI. I think up smash is good.
That's true. Slow
Yeah.
enough percent that I could get something else.
I definitely like up smash there, or running shine.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was far enough away to do
Yeah,
that.
you just would have crossed him up. So that's something I end up doing versus Peach a lot. Is I whiff punish her dash attack by running through her and then wave shining backwards. If you're technical, you can just JC shine in the first place, but obviously, like I'd prefer not to if I can avoid it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's funny though because what I started doing is whiff punishing it by running through and wave shining back. But every time I wave shine backwards versus Peach, I dash JC shine afterwards so I can keep wave shining her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even that JC shine is easier because it's more of like a setup, you know.
Yeah, it's easier because it's not a reactive thing.
Yeah, but still,
Yeah.
even just to grab or to up smash or to nair or something.
Yeah. I think you should be a little bit greedy when you up throw up air Peach if she no DIs because her double jump's so bad. You should just kind of do it a little more delayed and deeper into her.
So that's
Like, as long
actually
as
what
you
I
don't
ended
get
up.
mirrored out of it.
That's actually what I ended up doing. So me and Polish actually talked about this after the set. That is what I ended up doing in the later games. And it worked. And he was saying that he should start because he should start nairing those. But so which is then exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, but you can time it so that he can still and still be kind of greedy with it.
But then I was thinking, like, how is he gonna not up air? Because if he's trying to SDI up and nair out, isn't he gonna end up up airing a lot?
No, because you can for some people yes, but you can do it where you nair and then input the SDI out.
So that's assuming he's trying to, I guess, like option cover both of them, the deep upper and the shallow one.
Yeah.
Because that's what he was saying. Well, then I need to do both, and I was like, that's fine. And then I thought about it. I was actually talking with Zamu about it, and he was saying, well,
Yeah, you can do A and then up because there's enough hit lag.
But yeah, I do end up going with deeper up airs, and it does work. So grab is like one of the probably my biggest game plan versus Peach in general.
Yeah, I mean we talked about it before, and I think up air is super shitty on Peach, and you shouldn't really rely on it. But
well, even if I'm not relying on up air, I still think grab is
grab is great.
Yeah. And I mean, I kind of told you that I think up air basically works on every single Peach I've played. So
yeah,
in some sense, right? And either like they'll air dodge out, and then I can punish them.
Like I said, they're all awful at it. I don't know
exactly.
why.
But even
if Blade Wise is pretty good at it usually.
Well, no, but Blade Wise always just air dodges out.
Yeah, so he always air dodges. And then there's someone who was always jumping, but I forget who.
Yeah,
there's someone I watched recently who did it right every time, and that was hype.
That's cool.
Yeah, but anyway, I definitely think if they do no DI, you should go a little deeper for the nair. And there's actually a percent a little higher than that where you can get a second hit up air every time.
Okay.
And the best part is since they're SDIing up, they just die from the up air really early.
Yeah.
Crush was really, really, really good at always second hitting the no DI at that percent.
So like around like 90-ish or like what percent?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm jumping a lot.
Yep, you're jumping in the corner over and over and over.
Yeah, this was also I did versus Sheik. That was probably supposed to be a short hop nair, but I think I still would have gotten it.
I also just don't think you needed to be nairing.
Yeah. I don't
know. Bad spot to upbeat at.
Yeah.
Should have upbeat a little further, a little lower.
I think I should have just like side beat. Like I don't think he was covering ledge very well.
Okay.
Side B sweet spot, like without even necessarily jumping or jumping.
That's fair.
What is that?
I don't know. I actually think you're playing pretty badly.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. So like, here's a great chance to talk about this because like I think you were talking about the side. You felt like you at least played okay versus Polish, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just because I know he's good, so if I beat him, I figured I must have played okay.
Yeah, and then on top of that, it's a matchup you're more comfortable in, so like
Right.
you're more willing to just assume that you played pretty well.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I think a big part is I won, so it's easy to assume I played well. I think that's the
Yeah,
biggest thing for me.
yeah, but I actually don't really think you're playing much better than you did in the Millhouse set.
Yeah. I mean, I
So
can definitely see that, right? Like all of
yeah,
these.
so I mean, there you go. So maybe you need to work on like perception and tournament then, and then that can potentially influence your mentality. Because like if this was you thinking you played well, then I mean, if you can think this is playing well, you can probably think most of your gameplay is playing well, right? Like why
Yeah, I
not?
mean, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
this is not. I would say this is just about as bad as the Millhouse set.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you're jumping into turnips
I'm
stupidly.
jumping. I'm jumping all the time.
Yep. It's just Millhouse ran up and jump read you every time.
Yeah, exactly. So the result is a lot of what I end up focusing on. Ooh, can I jump out there?
Yes. Definitely. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, so you didn't connect the up air there, so you're missing like free combos. You were doing that drill up tilt at the beginning. That was a pretty
Yeah,
good
that was
back there.
awful. Do I get this? I'm not sure. I think I do. No, I don't.
Uh-huh.
Do I have to read there?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's
I
hard.
definitely, I definitely thought he would drift to stage, not ledge. But I mean, it was a read, right? I just wasn't sure if I had to.
Yeah, that makes. Yeah, I think you're lasering when he's too close. By the way, you should stop lasering slightly earlier. That was cool.
I think I get this kill. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's just dead.
I think that was a problem for Sheik too, lasering slightly close.
Yeah. You went for wave shine grab instead of just wave shining.
Yeah, well, that's just a problem I have. I know that.
Yeah, you're playing like way too like you don't hold a distance versus Peach. It's challenging, but like if you think about it, for any given situation, there's probably like an optimal distance to be at. So like you want to be at a distance for as long as possible. But like what you're doing is like you'll do your undershot and air, be in a decent range afterwards, and then just dash back short hop laser and then be way far away again. You're kind of going like in and out, but it's much better to like find the range you want to play at and then hover around that general range.
Okay.
So like look at the snare you do.
Oh,
I think the snare is really good, but
yeah,
then
then
you
I should just dash dance, like did a tight dash dance right after that.
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And then if he backs off, then you can start what's it called?
Like,
Shooting lasers or whatever.
yeah, I mean, I think. I guess I haven't really thought about the range I want to stay at versus Peach. Oh, that was a good recovery.
Yep. That
Shit.
was not what you wanted.
Yes, correct.
I don't get that's all bad. You shouldn't interact with turnip and fairs that way. A big thing is that if you commit to jumping, you cannot drift as far as Peach. So at a spacing that feels safe, even when you drift away, she can often drift in and catch up.
Okay,
Does this make sense
that
conceptually?
makes sense in theory, but can you go back to the clip?
Yeah,
Like,
it's just that like when you use back air to zone an offstage Peach, you need to be very, very careful because if she doesn't, so if she needs to drift back to avoid your back air, it's fine because she can't drift back and then forward. But if she can somehow dodge your back air without drifting back, she can almost always just drift forward at the right time and then catch up to you.
that does make sense to
It
me.
is one of the easiest ways to get reversal by Peach.
Yes, this is happening.
So see, like there, he could have probably drifted all the way in.
Mm-hmm. See it.
I think that's one of the most common Fox errors versus Peach. Is like not bearing in a way that forces her to drift back. Because like if you can't force her to drift back, you probably just shouldn't keep it back there. So like one thing I've seen Leffen do instead of this is he only uses falling back air in those situations because if he's falling, he'll like touch the ground soon enough.
Oh, that makes sense.
So he'll do like jump, high double jump, and then control his back air drift. I never do that one, but I've seen him do it a lot to reasonable success, I would say. Oftentimes I find myself up tilting. So I don't like up tilt if she's low to the ground, but it can be good if she's high. Otherwise, I'll just shield or dash or just like give up the edge guard even. I would do anything rather than do rising bear in a situation where she can drift forward and me after.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow,
Uh-oh.
I got lucky.
Yeah, that dash attack could have got you killed.
Uh,
Yeah, I just feel like you're trying to hit him in spots where it's not guaranteed to hit him.
I
And
deserve that.
definitely jumping and double jumping in the corner like every time.
I mean, yeah, I think I guess this is just a general problem, jumping out of the corner and also trying to hit them in a lot of spots.
Yeah, and there you like tried to force the full jump drill, and now you're gonna die for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, not just jumping out of the corner, I guess, because
Yeah, it's actually a lot of situations.
trying to full hop hit them, I think, is very common that I do, which is
Yeah,
in like a
I
lot of
mean, looks like you got something to work on.
yeah. And like I said, when I thought about that versus like Zamo Sheik, it wasn't, I didn't do it much, so it's like
Yeah,
not that hard.
yeah, same
I
full.
did remember that I
Almost
told
every
you
time
what.
you've gotten hit has been just doing a bad full hop.
Yeah, so when we started watching the set, I did tell you that I did a bunch of like full hops at him. I wasn't really thinking about the corner was I was thinking about those like full hop nairs at him and that full hop drill.
Yeah,
But the corner ones are also relevant. But either way, just all of these.
yeah, just all of them, honestly. Um, yeah, there. See, yeah, I don't think you've known how to play like almost any of the positions well. I feel like last time I saw you play Peach, this wasn't as much of a problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was just this day or just a tournament, or maybe it's now that you're playing, maybe a better Peach player potentially.
I
Uh,
mean,
Drill jab wasn't good, obviously.
yeah.
Yeah, it just feels like when you're sticking to the game plan, it goes okay. Like we've talked about Fox Peach game plan before, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that I'm not sticking to any sort of
Yeah,
game.
you're not really sticking to it. Like almost every time you get hit, it's just like you just running into like a move for no reason or jumping.
Exactly. Yeah. I could have died there. You should have
Yeah,
done so.
definitely. And yeah, I think your punish game's been pretty bad so far.
That was on purpose.
Yeah, I mean that worked, but yeah, I don't think you can really be proud of how you played here, which again I think is good because it gives you the
Yeah.
direct comparison of the result is what was making you happy as opposed to like
Yeah. Okay. That's true. That's good. I don't want the result to make me.
yeah, that's not what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, another jab. Yeah, I just don't feel like you really played the game plan that I think we've outlined to some extent. It's funny though because I do feel like you started off kind of playing the right way, like you were shooting good lasers, playing good ranges, but as the set went on, you just like kind of devolved.
I think that's common. Especially once one thing happens bad, then I just start. Again, it's a lot of it is when I'm down too. But
Yeah. We've talked about that. So, again, you need to train that in friendlies, train the awareness of it.
so the biggest thing I should think about versus Peach is probably just like staying at a correct range, and then also, I mean, the not jumping I think is just huge. But that's also
Staying at a good range and staying grounded is what you
yeah,
need to do in every matchup.
yes, that's yeah, okay,
The range itself is different, and the percent you want to stay grounded is different. But at the end of the day, like that is kind of the case.
yeah, that makes sense.
And if you need to, you can always like finding. Maybe you should find games that like remind you of how you want to play, like as reference material.
Yeah, so I told you this happened. So the set before this this was in top 8 to make it to top 8 was versus Fluid. He's like a non-wobbling ices.
Yeah.
He's beaten Fiction, and I've actually never beaten him. I had never beaten him before, and I beat him this tournament. But like there was definitely a time when I recognized that I was jumping. Like I noticed that I was jumping at him, like just doing random jumps, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm not gonna do this. I'm just gonna play well, and then I ended up 3-0.
That's great. Yeah.
I wish it was recorded. I mean, it was on Slippy somewhere, but the Slippy files are not labeled, so it's actually impossible to go through. Actually, I don't even know if it was on Slippy. I don't even know if the site. But yeah, I would like to see that as a reference, but I can also just think about my mentality during
Yeah,
this.
you should just use it as a reference point.
Yeah.
But like for example, I think the FD game I played versus Bladewise or Armada, like if you watched one of those before playing a Peach on FD, I think you would probably play it much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah. So like I think like having a reference set or reference point in this case, like the fluid thing would be great. But also like reminding yourself how you want to play the matchup, or again, maybe taking notes on the matchup. I don't know. Have we done like game plan notes before?
I don't think we have, but I do have notes on every matchup, basically.
Okay, so I have this thing I do, and I don't know if I've talked to you about it, and then we can wrap up after this. But I think the thing I used to do in tournament is before I would play anyone, I would think about what I thought were the most important things for the set.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'll give you some of my examples. Have we talked about doing this before? Or no.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so here's an example. I'm gonna play Hugs in tournament. Okay, what do I think to myself? I think, okay, he's going. One reason I could lose to Samus or Hugs is because there's a distance where I feel like I want to full hop at him, but it's actually not going over him. It's too far, and I'm landing right where he is, and then he wave dashes back and hits me. That's one way I've lost to Samus many times in the past. So, and especially Hugo. So I reminded myself that that's something that I need to avoid doing. I need to remind myself that no matter what, he's probably going to be spamming shields and wave dashing back regardless. And I need to be ready, A, be ready to counter that, but B, not trick myself into thinking he's going to do something besides that. Three, because he's going to do that regardless. Three, something for Samus that's really important is I need to, when I hit her off stage, reset my mentality and not get sucked into the moment or like get tilted or anything like that. Because one of the most common things for me, since it's a matchup I didn't play often, was try to optimize an edge guard situation I wasn't familiar enough with, and either getting reversaled or not getting value out of it, and then having to start over and then eventually messing up and dying or something like that. And it's always, almost every set I've ever lost to a Samus was because something like that happened and I let it like bother me, or I didn't just give up an edge guard that, would have been reasonable to give up given my level of knowledge.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like, just reminding myself of those things was really, really helpful. Let's say I was going to play SFAT. Something I would have to remind myself is that for whatever reason, when SFAT plays melee, he plays this style that like he's at various points in the set, he gets very, very, very good at just not getting hit. I think has pretty good defense, and he kind of has a good sense for how people try to hit him. And I think that he doesn't do it in a very good way, though. So I have the simultaneous issue of getting tilted that he's playing bad and I'm losing to it, with the issue of I'm not hitting him and I'm not even noticing it, and then it all combined into being really bad. So I have to remind myself to not start playing bad when that happens, first of all, but B, recognize when it's happening and kind of emotionally, mentally reset. So like for me, those are, some examples, but maybe versus Puff, something I might remind myself of would be like, let's say I'm playing Hungrybox. I'd say, okay, I'm not going to laser when Puff is high because that's really bad because he can drift into me. I don't know if we've talked about that, right?
Yes, we have.
So I'm not going to laser when she's high. I'm going to remind myself to not roll in stupidly versus H-Box. I'm going to remind myself that when I have a lead versus Puff, I often throw the lead because I try to win interactions I don't need to. And I need to remember that, like, usually, because I've watched my sets where I've lost to Puff before, and for me personally, the way I lose is almost always I'm winning hard, and then without realizing it, I kind of play too interactively when I don't need to, and then I lose and let them make the comeback, essentially.
I see.
So one big thing for Puff for me is like forcing them to make the comeback. And that's not really a problem in Fox it is, because I feel like the matchup we're always kind of fighting and I'm always really comfortable playing neutral and stuff. But in the Puff matchup, it's really easy for me to not realize that I let them get an easy comeback on me. Does that kind of make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah, so for me, those are things that I personally needed to remind myself of. But, for you, it could be completely different.
Right. A couple things about that. First of all, these seem pretty player specific instead of character specific.
Yeah, for me, they were often player specific.
Yeah. So for me, I feel like they're not even character specific at this point, right? It's just like
yeah. So they're different degrees, right?
I think for me, at least for now, I mean, I can do maybe more specific ones for different characters as well. I don't think I'm going to get more specific than that, except maybe versus like Zamu. Yeah. But which I think I already have internalized versus MF. But anyway, I think versus like every character, the three things, the two you said was stay at a good range and stay grounded, and the third thing I want to add is watch the opponent. I think those three things versus like every character, if I do those, I think that's good as a start. But
highly recommend you get character specific ones. So for
I mean,
you, for example, I might say when you play the Falcon matchup, don't shield till he jumps.
which one, Falcon or
Falcon.
That makes sense.
Yeah, right? Like that would be a great one for you, I think. Like for Swedish, we came up with matchup notes for every single matchup and player.
Well, I would say for me, for the Falcon one is instead of don't shield till he jumps, which implies like I'm shielding too much, I would say it's shield when he jumps.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah.
Which is kind of the same thing, but phrased differently, because I want to tell myself to shield when he jumps, which was...
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get the idea, right?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Or like versus here's one versus Peach that was less player specific. I would be like, okay, if I'm at low percent and she's at high percent and in the corner, I'm going to force her out of the corner rather than fighting her in the corner.
Okay.
So like one thing I would do is I'm at 0, she's at 80, she's corner camping me. I started reminding myself to set a safe distance and then switch between interacting with her a little bit and then lasering a little bit to try to get her to come out of the corner. And if she wouldn't want to come out of the corner, I would just keep doing it to make sure she would, take enough damage that when she did come out of the corner, or if she didn't and I went and got her, that my hits would be more.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's an issue, that makes sense, obviously, right? But I just feel like there's a line between, if you have a whole page of notes on a character, which you can obviously have, it's just
you only want like 2 or 3 major notes.
Right, exactly.
You want 2 or 3 major notes that you can remind yourself. And like I said, a big thing for me was thinking about how the match plays out when I lose versus how the match plays out when I win. And I often try to think of the cases where I lose and try to avoid them. So, one case was I'm fighting Peach in the corner too much. Another case might be I'm jumping at Samus too much. There are different things that I was... And I'm like, yeah, all the sets I lose go like this. All the sets I win go like this. So, like, trying to make it so that you're recreating the way it feels when you win.
That's why I think, stay at a good range, stay grounded, and watch opponent. I feel like all the sets I lose...
But the more character-specific you can make it, the better.
That's true. I just don't want to start getting muddled with too many specifics. I do have notes on every character, but it's, very long, and there was a time when I read them before every set, but it just didn't, it didn't really do anything because it was too much. So I definitely think I want to keep the shorter the better. Yep. Still 2 or 3. Danilo messaged me and said he has notes. What did he say? He said
it's good to have a lot of notes, just not for tournament.
Yeah. Oh, not for tournament. Oh, I see.
For tournament, you only want 2 or 3.
Sorry, I misunderstood what you're saying.
Yeah. But you should have a ton of notes. That's fine. But for tournament, you just need to take the 2 or 3 things that will guarantee that you play well and don't lose stupid.
Yeah, I think the Falcon one, for example, is a perfect thing. Shield when he jumps at me.
If you just remind yourself, shield when he jumps at me, and then maybe don't grab the edge when edge guarding. Every set I've lost to a Falcon, it's because I grabbed the edge and he went high.
Yeah, it's because when I was playing the Falcon in friendlies, we talked about last week, I just was I'll shield when he jumps at me, and I just started winning all the friendlies. So it's
yep,
something like that is definitely good. I'll start with these, and I'll see. I might message you some other ideas to have, because like I said, Danilo messaged me that he has a bunch of game plan notes. My guess is that they're pretty broad, or not broad, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
You want to be brief and
exactly. Yeah. I think definitely err on the side of brevity in this case, for me at least, for now.
Cool.
Okay, thanks. This is helpful.
Yeah. Good talk.
Weekend. I'll try to play my best this weekend.
Yeah, do your best and good luck.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right, no problem. Have a good day.
Bye.